Hey, Melissa here. I'm making my second video within like a 3-day time period, so I hope my 12 to 15 people out there watching this video fully appreciate it because I fully suck at YouTube and you guys are the lucky ones because this is really the first video that I've kind of put out on a precision rifle. And I have been kind of getting into precision rifle shooting over the last 6 months. I haven't put out a whole lot of content about it, but it has really taken my interest. And then Alex Pro Firearms came out with their LPR series rifles. This one is chambered in 6.5 Grendel, so I'm really excited to shoot it and see if I can get on target at 200 yards within about like 10 rounds. So we'll see if that happens, but a little bit about the rifle before we get into that. It is a 6.5 Grendel and it is a semi-auto, so I could really make a whole video on the pros and cons of bolt action versus semi-automatic, but that's for another time. For the most part, if you want a quick follow-up shot, go with the semi-automatic magazine-fed rifle. All right, but first let's get into some specs. So first and foremost, it's going to be chambered in 6.5 Grendel. I'm going to talk about the ballistics of 6.5 Grendel versus some other rounds here in a few. So it does have this really nice Cerakoted matching upper and lower set. It has a 18-inch Proof Research carbon fiber barrel with their Elite Series muzzle comp on it. I really like that muzzle comp a lot. It has a 15-inch M-LOK handguard, and then on the rear it has an M-LOK PRS light stock with a Magpul K2 grip. The bolt carrier group is going to be an ALC light bolt carrier group with a Superlative Arms adjustable gas block. The buffer system is standard M4 carbine, but if you do want to adjust that gas block, it is an adjustable setting. And then it does have all ambi controls, extended charging handle. It does have an oversized extended magazine release. And then the trigger is going to be a Timney Targa 2-stage 2-pound straight trigger. So a lot of really great stuff going on here, really great components that it's made with. I love Alex Pro Firearms. They make really good quality rifles. Everything is American made and they really stand by that. So for that reason, they also kind of sold me on that. I have attached on a Swamp Fox Patriot Precision Rifle Scope. This is a 6-24 by 50. It is a first focal plane. And if you check out this scope on Swamp Fox website, you're going to find that it is a really good price point for being a first focal plane scope. So essentially, it kind of does a lot of the math for you, and it just makes it easier when you actually get to the range when you're shooting, especially at longer yards. So the 6 is essentially going to mean that it starts at a magnification of 6, and then it can go up to 24 magnification. The 50 is essentially going to be the diameter of your objective lens. I did attach it to their Freedom cantilever mount. This is a 1/4 MOA scope, so I'll get to that on the range and what kind of math you need to do if you do want to get within your target grouping without obviously wasting a lot of rounds. So, all right, so now let's get into the ballistics of some of these calibers and why 6.5 Grendel would be a great round to use. So I'm going to compare today 5.56, 6.5 Grendel, 6mm arc, and say 270. So first of all, you can actually talk about these calibers all day, especially when it comes to precision rifle calibers. I mean, literally, you could go on and on and on. That's why there's podcasts devoted to stuff like this. But I'm just going to kind of go over it quickly and why 6.5 is a great round. So first of all, 270. I've never seen a semi-automatic chambered in 270. So if you do want a quick follow-up shot, obviously, the semi-automatic is very advantageous in that aspect. 5.56, when you shoot it at about 200 yards, it has a muzzle velocity, just a velocity, external velocity, not leaving the muzzle, of about 2,400 feet per second. However, it has an energy foot per pound of roughly anywhere from 700 to 800. So right then and there, it doesn't have a whole lot of stopping power when it gets to those longer ranges. When it comes to 6mm and 6.5 Grendel, it essentially has like a velocity of around 2,200 feet per second. They're very, very similar, right? These cartridges are super similar. They were both originated after the 220 Russian round. And there's not a whole lot of differences between them, except for when it comes down to maybe distance and accuracy over a greater distance. So they both have a really good stopping power, but the 6.5 Grendel will have more of a stopping power at a closer range. So if you are shooting at closer ranges trying to take down something, you might want to go with the 6.5 Grendel. It just has more stopping power. And over a greater amount of distance, though, the 6.5 Grendel does have more of a drop rate. I got into a whole heated discussion with a old hunter who's been, hunting for years and years, and he swears by his 270 bolt action, and he was saying that it had great ballistics, and I looked it up, and some of these cartridges are awesome. The 270 at 200 yards has like a velocity feet per second of around like 2,600, and then a stopping power of, I think, anywhere from so about 2,000 feet per second. So the 6.5 and the 6mm are roughly about 1,300 to 1,400 foot per pound stopping power with energy at 200 yards, whereas the 270 is roughly about 2,000 to 2,100 foot per pound, and therefore can be accurate and have a lot more stopping power, and actually doesn't have a whole lot of drop rate considering its size compared to a lot of these cartridges. So I kind of actually agreed with him on a lot of it, but my argument was, maybe I don't want to ruin the meat that much or so forth, but obviously it depends on where you hit the animal if you are hunting, and it might have a clean entry, but the exit is going to be pretty messy. So my argument was, if you want clean in and out, maybe go with the 6.5 Grendel for the most part and not have a super beefy round, depending on what you do want to take down. Naturally, you could have these arguments all day long and go back and forth. I'm sure some of you watching are going to just start in the comments section and just start typing all this stuff. So, it is what it is. But for those reasons, though, the 6.5 Grendel is honestly a great round. And the 6mm ARC came out and everyone was like crazy about it. But then somehow, people usually kind of go back to what they know, what's worked for them, and obviously product availability. A lot more companies are making 6.5 Grendel as opposed to 6mm ARC. So, just for those reasons, maybe you want to buy a rifle where there's going to be more, round availability. So one last thing, if you ever buy these ammo boxes, all of the velocity stuff is on the back, especially because there's so many different models within the cartridges, within the brand that you're buying it from. So if you buy from Hornady, they have all the different, grains and stuff that you can buy, and then all the different velocities will be on the back. All right, so let's finally get this laser bore sighted in. I'm going to talk about that because I do like to laser bore sight, and these rounds are not cheap. So let's get back there, and then let's hopefully get to the range soon. All right, so I am in the back of our shop, and what's great about this is that it has a vise. So when I like to bore sight in my rifles, I essentially use a vise block, and then you can easily stabilize your rifle, put it on a moving vise block, and then now I can actually use a laser. I've put a target at about 25 yards, so you guys can see it back there. Whoops. And I'm going to essentially place my laser on the target and then move my scope to meet the laser. I am using this Real Avid Viz Max bore sighter that actually goes on the end of the muzzle brake. So I have really made sure that it's flush with the muzzle brake, and it was like the most expensive one that I could find. So we'll see if, paying more actually makes a difference. I don't know. We're going to test that theory on the range today and see how close we get to being on target when we get to the range. So my crosshairs and my laser are pretty much on. So let's take it to 50 yards and see how, accurate I am, and make sure that I'm on the target and then adjust from there. Okay, so we're at the range. I have some targets set up at 50 yards. So I will be taking a shot and then showing, the groupings afterwards and talking you through what's going on. I am going to be using this like Nosler Varmageddon rounds. And it says on the back that at 100 yards, it has a velocity of 2,800 feet per second, with an energy foot-pound of 1567 and a drop rate of about -1.5 at 100 yards. We're going to take about 3 shots. I'm going to take 1 shot and adjust at 50 yards. And then I also have an Icarta Systems target out there, so that'll just be fun to shoot once we get things sighted in. So essentially, if you guys aren't aware, but it is a quarter MOA scope, so that means that at 100 yards, 1 click is 1/4 of the inch. So at 100 yards, in order to make it a complete inch down or up, you have to turn the click 4 times. And then at 50 yards, you basically multiply by 2. At 25 yards, you multiply by 4. So at 25 yards, you'd be making 16 clicks. At 50 yards, you're making about 8 clicks to complete that inch on the square grid. And then at 100 yards, you're only turning that dial about 4 clicks for, an actual inch, and then maybe just like 2 if you need to just drop it down a half an inch. At 200 yards, we're basically dividing by 2. So when we get to 200, if I need to come down like, 2 inches, then I'm basically turning that dial 4 times. Okay, so hopefully that made sense to you guys. All right, so these are what my rounds look like. Kind of cool. 6.5 Grendel. And let's load them up and see where we're at. I do use these Axel Bluetooth wireless earbuds, and they're honestly very ideal for rifle shooting so that you don't get bulky muffs in the way of your sight alignment. And then you could still have conversations with people on the range and still have hearing protection. For my iPro, I use Gators. They're ballistic rated and they're scratch resistant, and they're just really reinforced aluminum, so they last for so long. And they're also, USA made. These are USA made as well. All right, so we were way off to the left. So I'm going to adjust for windage, and I'm going to do about 8, 16, 24 clicks to the right. (12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17). All right, so ideally I should be within there, but it is kind of windy out here, so we'll see what happens. All right, so now we were low, but we were more to the right. So I'm just I want to go over like an inch. So I'm going to go 8 clicks to the right, and then about 24 clicks up in elevation. All right, so that was actually not bad. A little high, but that's okay. I'll take it. Works for me. And I am going to put it at 100 yards. Also, I did hit a round through the Icarta target. I'll show some footage. And even though I was a little high on that last round, I hit a perfect bullseye on the Icarta system target. So pretty cool. Shoots out smoke. Really cool. So it looks like it was off to the left, kind of like this similar on my 50-yard target. So I'm actually going to move it in windage to the right about 10 clicks, because at 100 yards, it's only 4 clicks per inch. So that one looks like it actually did come over to the right, but now it's down about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to move it up in elevation, 6 clicks. it actually looks like I hit the exact same spot on my third shot at 100 that I did at 50. So that's actually really cool, and I'll take it, honestly, because I don't want to waste any more rounds. I'm sure that there's other factors at play, and I want to get to the 200-yard range now and see what happens over there. All right, so here we are in the 200-yard range. I actually have a spotting scope out now because it's kind of a long distance. I do have my GoPro down there that I've had this entire time on the target at the 50-yard and 100-yard range. So my LPR 6.5 Grendel is on a bog hunt death grip tripod. I really like these. It just stabilizes the rifle really well. And I have 3 rounds loaded, so let's see what happens. So hopefully the GoPro picked that up. It looked like it was actually pretty accurate, and this is actually, I think, like the most accurate I've ever been on a target at 200 yards. Cool. So at 200 yards, that's crazy. That's like blowing my mind right now how nice of a shot. Anyways, so at 200 yards, you basically divide by 2. So I was just a little below the bullseye. If you want to go up a whole inch, you would essentially adjust by 2 clicks per inch. Because I just want to go up a little bit, I'm just going to adjust an elevation by 1 click. All right, shot 2. All right, I feel really good about that. I think we kind of nailed it. I really couldn't be happier with those shots. So we'll go with one more round, but honestly, like, I'm feeling pretty good. Just a little high, but you know, obviously wind and trigger press and all that, but I feel really good about it. I don't know if it's because of this rifle. I'm going to attribute a lot of it to the rifle. I had another 308 out here a couple weeks ago, and I was not that accurate. So the LPR series, I mean, amazing gun. They also come in 6mm arc, 6.5 Grendel, and then also 5.56. So check them out, Alex Pro Firearms, and I'll put the links to my glasses and my ear pro in this video. I'm going to go ahead and shoot some of the Icarta system targets, and I'll put the link to the Icarta targets in this video as well. It's a lot of fun. All right, that's it, and go ahead and check out all that Alex Pro Firearms has to offer. Also Swamp Fox optics. Obviously this scope really worked out for me today, so could not be happier with this setup. For sure worth, you know, every penny. All right, that's it guys. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for my next video.